You're changing, and you don't even know it. 7 things are happening inside you right now. Most men miss them. Keep searching for some dramatic transformation, some moment where everything clicks. But that's not how it works. Real change is quiet, happens in how you respond to Tuesday morning, how you handle the comment that would have destroyed you 6 months ago, how you walk past the mirror without needing validation. These 7 signs, they don't announce themselves. You won't feel different, won't have some awakening. Just one day you'll notice you stopped doing things that used to define you, stopped needing things that used to control you. And that's when you know you're becoming something most men never become: unbreakable. Not because nothing hurts you, because what hurts you doesn't define you anymore. Let's see if you recognize yourself. Sign 1. You stopped explaining yourself. 3 months ago, someone questioned your decision. You spent 20 minutes defending it, explaining your reasoning, building a case, making sure they understood. Needed them to see you weren't crazy, weren't wrong, weren't making a mistake. Last week, same situation. Someone questioned you, and you said nothing. Not out of anger, not out of pride, just didn't feel the need. They can think what they want. You know what you know. Their understanding isn't required for your decision to be right. That shift, most men never make it. They spend their entire lives explaining, justifying, defending every choice to people whose opinion changes nothing, exhausting themselves building cases for audiences that don't matter. And they think that's normal, think that's what strong men do. Prove themselves constantly. But you stopped, not dramatically, just quietly realized one day that explaining yourself to people who don't trust you is a waste of time. And to people who do trust you, explanation isn't necessary. So you stopped talking, started acting, and let the results speak. That's not arrogance, that's efficiency. That's understanding that your energy is finite, and explaining yourself to skeptics drains it faster than anything else. When you stop explaining, you're not being difficult, you're being selective, choosing where your words have value. And everywhere else, silence. Sign 2. Small disrespect doesn't move you anymore. Someone cuts you off in traffic, used to ruin your morning. Now, barely register it. Someone makes a passive-aggressive comment, used to sit with you for hours, replaying it, crafting the perfect comeback. Now, forgotten before you leave the room. This isn't apathy. It's scale. You developed a hierarchy of threats, and most things that used to feel like attacks, they're not even on the list anymore. The guy who disrespects you at work, he's dealing with his own insecurity. The friend who makes jokes at your expense, he's trying to feel bigger by making you smaller. The stranger who has an opinion about your life, doesn't know you well enough for his opinion to matter. You see it now. See that most disrespect is small, petty, says more about them than you. So you don't react, don't defend, don't engage, just let it pass like weather. Because you learned something critical. Responding to small disrespect gives it size it doesn't deserve. The unbreakable man isn't the one who never gets disrespected. He's the one who doesn't give small disrespect his attention, saves his response for real threats. And 99% of what used to feel threatening isn't. That's not weakness, that's discernment. Sign 3. You prefer being alone now. Not always, not completely, but more than before, way more. Used to be, being alone felt like punishment, like something was wrong, like you were missing out. So you filled every gap, made plans, said yes to invitations you didn't want, stayed in conversations that drained you, because being alone meant being lonely, and lonely meant failure. Now, alone is where you recharge. Friday night, no plans, everyone's out. And you're good. Not pretending to be good, actually good. Because you discovered something most men never do. Other people's energy affects you, and most people's energy is chaos, anxiety, noise, drama. They bring their unresolved problems into every interaction and expect you to help carry them. And you did. For years, helped carry everyone else's weight while your own foundation cracked. Until one day you realized you can't build yourself while holding everyone else up. So you started saying no, started staying in, started choosing silence over socializing. And it felt wrong at first, felt selfish, felt like you were becoming cold. But then you noticed you were calmer, clearer, stronger, because you were spending energy on yourself instead of bleeding it into other people's chaos. The unbreakable man isn't antisocial. He's selective. He knows his energy is his most valuable resource, and he protects it like his life depends on it, because it does. Sign 4, criticism doesn't spiral you anymore. Someone says you're doing it wrong, used to derail you completely, send you into doubt, make you question everything, spend days obsessing over whether they're right, whether you should change, whether you're failing and just can't see it. Now, you hear it, consider it, keep moving, not because you're arrogant, because you've been criticized enough to know something. Most criticism is projection. The guy telling you you're not working hard enough, he feels guilty about his own lack of effort. The person saying you're making a mistake, they're afraid to take risks themselves, so they discourage yours. The voice saying you're not good enough, it's usually someone who stopped trying and resents that you're still fighting, so you listen. Extract anything useful, discard the rest, and keep building. This doesn't mean you ignore all criticism. You've actually gotten better at receiving it. From people who've earned your trust, who want you to win, who've proven they care about your growth. Those voices, you listen hard, adjust, improve. But random criticism from random people about your path they're not walking, that doesn't land anymore. Used to wreck you. Now it's just noise. Because you know something they don't. The man in the arena gets criticized by people in the stands who've never faced what he's facing. You're in the arena, they're in the stands. Their criticism doesn't matter. Sign 5. You've stopped proving your value. This one's subtle. You might not even realize it's happening. But think about your conversation 6 months ago. How much time did you spend dropping hints about what you accomplished? Your title, your income, your achievements. Not bragging, just making sure people knew. Making sure they understood you're someone, that you matter, that you've earned respect. Now, you don't mention it unless directly asked. And even then, you keep it brief, because you realized something. People who need proof of your value will never be satisfied. And people who recognize it don't need proof. So you stopped performing your worth. Stopped dropping credentials into conversations like breadcrumbs. Stopped needing strangers to know what you've done, because your value isn't up for debate, isn't determined by whether someone else sees it, exists whether acknowledged or not. This freaks some people out. They assume if you're not talking about your wins, you must not have any. Let them assume. You're not here to educate them. Not here to prove anything. You're here to build. And building requires energy that performing steals. The unbreakable man doesn't hide his accomplishments. He just doesn't need to announce them. They're part of his foundation, not his introduction. Sign 6. You've started finishing things. Go back 12 months. How many things did you start? Projects, plans, goals, commitments. How many did you finish? Half? Less? Now look at the last 3 months. You're finishing. Not everything. Some things deserve to be abandoned. But the things that matter, you're seeing them through. Not because you suddenly have more time or more energy. Because you stopped starting things you don't intend to complete. You got selective. Started asking before beginning, am I actually going to finish this? Do I care enough to see it through? Or am I starting it because I'm bored or anxious or trying to avoid something else? And if the answer is anything but yes, you don't start. This changed everything. Because half-finished projects drain you, sit in the back of your mind like debt, reminding you that you're not who you said you'd be, that you quit, that you can't be trusted by yourself. But finished projects, they build something. Prove to yourself that when you commit, you deliver, that your word to yourself means something, that you're becoming someone who does what he says he'll do. The unbreakable man isn't the one who never fails. He's the one who finishes what he starts. Even when it's hard, even when no one's watching, even when quitting would be easier. That follow-through, that's the foundation. Sign 7. You've accepted that some people will never understand you. This is the hardest one. Took you the longest to get here. For years you tried to make them see why you chose this path, why you work this way, why you value what you value. Tried to explain until they got it, until they supported you. Until they stopped questioning every decision and just trusted you. They never did. And you spent years thinking that was your failure. That if you just found the right words, the right explanation, the right moment, they'd finally understand, finally see you, finally get it. Then one day you realized some people will never understand you. Not because you're complicated, because they're looking at you through their own lens, their own fears, their own limitations. And no matter how clearly you speak, they can't hear you. They hear their version of you, and that version will always confuse them. So you stopped trying to be understood by everyone. Stopped explaining yourself to people who don't speak your language. Stopped waiting for permission or approval or validation from people who will never give it. And something happened. You became lighter because you weren't carrying their confusion anymore. Weren't responsible for their inability to see you clearly. They can think what they want, believe what they need to believe. It doesn't change who you are or where you're going. The unbreakable man doesn't need everyone to get him. He needs the right people to get him. And everyone else, they can stay confused. These 7 signs don't show up all at once. You won't wake up one day and have all 7. They appear gradually, quietly, one at a time. And you might not even notice them until someone points them out. Until you look back and realize you're not who you were. You stopped explaining, stopped reacting, stopped performing, started finishing, started protecting your energy, started choosing who gets your attention, started accepting that not everyone will understand, and that's okay. That's not you becoming cold. That's you becoming solid, not indifferent, selective, not closed off, protected, not arrogant, secure. Unbreakable doesn't mean nothing affects you. Means what affects you doesn't break you, doesn't control you, doesn't define you. You feel it, process it, and keep moving. That's the shift. That's what these 7 signs are showing you. You're becoming someone who can't be moved by things that used to destroy you, can't be manipulated by people who used to control you, can't be broken by circumstances that used to define you. Not because you're harder, because you're clearer. You know what matters, what doesn't, who deserves your energy, who doesn't, what's worth protecting, what's worth releasing. And that clarity, that's what makes you unbreakable, not invincible, just unbreakable. There's a difference. Invincible means nothing hurts. Unbreakable means you can carry the hurt and still stand. If you noticed even 3 of these 7 signs in yourself, you're on the path. You're changing, becoming something rare. Something most men never become because they never start, never commit, never push through the discomfort of becoming different from who they were. But you did. You're doing it. And these signs are proof, not that you've arrived, that you're building. And what you're building can't be broken. Not by criticism, not by rejection, not by failure, not by doubt. Because you're not building on external validation anymore. You're building on something that doesn't shift, doesn't change based on opinion or circumstance or approval. You're building on you, on your word to yourself, on your ability to finish what you start, on your refusal to explain yourself to people who don't matter, on your discernment about what deserves your response and what doesn't. That foundation, that's unbreakable. Not because it's perfect, because it's yours, and you built it. In silence, in private, through choices no one saw, through discipline no one validated, through persistence no one applauded, and now it's solid, real, tested, proven. That's what these 7 signs are telling you. You're not hoping to become unbreakable someday. You're becoming it now. Have been for months, just didn't have the language for it until now. So keep going, keep building, keep choosing the hard path when the easy one whispers. Keep protecting your energy when everyone demands it. Keep finishing what you start when quitting would feel better. Keep refusing to explain yourself to people who wouldn't understand anyway. Because every time you do, you're not just acting unbreakable, you're becoming it. And becoming is everything.